laid out that was implemented last year, and again, something being so new that it wasn't well understood. But when looking at where we are coming into this next school year, it's something really to celebrate. Out of 1,133 teachers, 626 scored at a level 5, which will be an $850 pay raise for next year. 265 scored at level 4, which will be a $600 raise for next year. 70 scored at a level 3, which will account for a $350 raise for next year. You're looking at a total of 961 educators out of 1,133 that met that. 154 teachers are new without raises. However, when we looked at what we've bumped our entering pay at, going from 34 to 39,000, it was a $5,000 increase by coming into the system. And that's something to take into account. This, again, is something that in times past, before moving into the differential pay, all annual increases used to stop at 21 years. That was it. Under the old schedule, teachers could teach for another 20 years without any step increase. But what we are seeing, moving into this next year, that is more than admirable when you're looking at 961 out of 1,133 teachers, and that's to be recognized. I also want to note that, again, with some changes that were made, 6 schools will have new start times at the beginning of the 2015-16 school year. This was something that was pretty well publicized, not only in our local media outlets, but it was posted on our Facebook page and website. One of the reasons, and many reasons, was some of the adjustments made with transportation. Something that we had for a long time was what they called a transfer system over there on 109 that not only was it difficult, but it was also one that caused delays and a lot of adjustments with kids moving to get on buses so they could either go from the elementary schools, middle schools, to get on the bus going to Lebanon High School. And so not only were we looking for consistency, but we were also looking at safety and making that adjustment. We also put our schools, particularly the elementary schools, in line with existing elementary start times. We also paid attention to parents that were concerned that, you're opening later and I need to go on to work. My child doesn't ride a bus, but I cannot just drop my child off. And so that was something, again, that we paid attention to many parents that did feel that we were very accommodating, particularly with our elementary schools and being able to drop kids off so they could go on to work. The other thing that we wanted to make sure that we addressed that, again, for some parents, hardships, as far as with looking at not only with an early start time, but also maybe possibly early dismissal parents and difficulty as far as with childcare. And that was something that our principals addressed even before we started talking about making these adjustments on the start time, as far as looking at tutorials after school, looking at homework assistance, after school programs. That was something that they really didn't have time, or really the staff, to make those adjustments. So with the start times, again, you've got Wilson Central High School with a new start time of 8:30, West Wilson Middle School with a new start time of 8:30 as well. Again, making those adjustments. Now Juliet Middle School and the high school with start times at 8:15. And then looking at Tucker's Crossroads and Carroll Oakland, new start times at 7:15, which will put them in line with existing elementary start times. I'm looking at Carol back there nodding her head because she's really worked hard for those after-school programs to make those adjustments and to accommodate our parents. And so, again, wanted to make sure that not only was it well publicized, but there was a lot of work, effort, discussion as far as making sure that we were doing the right thing, and particularly that transfer point where we were moving a number of kids to make those adjustments for the buses. And it wasn't a safe practice. It was not a good practice. And so that was something that was eliminated. I want to note that a back-to-school celebration for teachers and administration is scheduled for July 27th. It seems like we just ended school. At Lebanon High School, the doors are going to open at 7:15 and the meeting will begin at 8:30. I invite each of you to attend this kickoff to the 2015-16 school year. Different vendors and suppliers will be there to give away door prizes after the meeting as we celebrate the start of the new year. We'll also know that new student registration will be held at each school on July 20th during regular school hours. And again, we are trying to make sure that we're accommodating and having our schools open so as new people move into the district that we can get their children registered and acclimated as want to share with you something special that I was invited to take part in last week. I had the privilege of attending a birthday celebration for Mrs. Ella Owen Reed. She turned 103 years old. And she's a former, but I have to clarify that because she insisted she was 102, but her birth record said she was 103. But she was most insistent that she was 102. Regardless, she's a former teacher of Wilson County Schools, 11 special schools. And when she started talking, and her mind was very, very sharp, she started talking about her first teaching job was in a one-room schoolhouse, and she taught all grades, 1st through 8th grade. She had about 15 students, as she remembers it. And she never missed a day of school in 35 years, except for one time that she had to wade the creek to get to school, and she couldn't get there. So that was her first and only time that she missed school, and was talking about not only how much she loved what she did for all those years, but the enjoyment as far as watching, as she called it, her baby grow up. So that was a very, very special time talking to someone that not only was native to the district, but taught in the district during that time. So that was very, very special to meet her. I also have, as far as, again, trying to keep you updated on the Carroll Open project, as again, there was a lot of weather delays and trying to adjust, but I'll tell you what, they have not missed a beat, and it was always amazing to go out there and watch school continue. When Carol's got a smile on her face right now because she sees the end in sight. And if you look at that update, again, showing an estimated delivery date, the project consisting of the entrance, the administrative area, the middle school gymnasium with approximately 1,000 seats, 14 new classrooms, 2 science labs, 2 science lecture labs, as well as a renovated media center. The dining and renovated kitchen is a beautiful area in addition to the school. So again, that's going to be something that will be not only treasured, but highly valued in the community. I also want to recognize and make everyone aware that more than just a note, there was some reorganization in the central office in the curriculum and instruction department. And I want to recognize first, if Jennifer Cochran will stand up, I want to recognize her as our new district testing and accountability person. She was formerly over secondary with math and science, and so she will now be providing quarterly sessions for the board on school and district accountability, keeping us updated, but also teaching us as well. She'll also be working closely with administrators and teachers about school and teacher data, and again, all of it in a learning capacity as far as we work through and look at the data and hopefully not only improve, but also grow our students. I've created new oversight in middle school. That was something that middle school did not have anyone that really was focusing on middle school. It was more or less combined in a secondary, and so Angela Rowan will be the supervisor in that capacity as far as giving guidance and direction to middle school. I don't know that Angela is here tonight. And then Yvonne Smith will remain as far as our elementary schools, and a new addition to our team is Kate Bergen. And I don't know that Kate be with us since it's her first day, and she's going to assume oversight of the high school, so the secondary program. She was formerly assistant principal at over instruction at Brentwood High School, and she is one that's very excited. She has family here in Wilson County and very excited to be joining part of the team. And then someone I'm going to formally reintroduce, and even though it seems like I've introduced him several times, I want to introduce Monique Wilson as our new director of academics. That will provide oversight and guidance for the curriculum and instruction department. And so with that, again, the real focus on not only student performance, but also as far as growing and working with our teachers as well. You will find a sheet, I'll try to do it, and really it was a sheet based on a conversation that took place last month's meeting that I thought you might find of interest and help when speaking to constituents. There's always a question as far as what's the breakdown of revenues when we look at per student and by what source of revenue. And so with that, I asked Vicki, I said, I need for you to create this worksheet for me, because there's always a question, how do we get to that dollar figure per pupil allocation of $7,500.69. And so with this, not only are you going to see the breakdown from as far as county tax, from licenses and permits, charges for other services, other local revenues, total state education funds, other state funds, federal through state, which is some of the flow through money, your total federal government, which you know for students only $11. And then looking at that total operating revenue. But again, this gives you a good breakdown as far as how we compile the numbers of that per pupil allocation, which tend to be a mystery for some when that comes up. We received our final exit summary from Advanced Ed this last week. It's an extensive document, and I will be providing some of the improvement elements to the board and the leadership team as we prepare to look at district improvement being aligned with our strategic plan. It'll also be important for us to review what is currently serving as our strategic plan to determine if it's the right course and still meeting our needs as a district. So that's something that in a future date I will provide a breakdown of that document. And then it's just as a final note, once the state lifts the embargo on district and school TCAP and TDOT scores, we will share with the board and the public not only our successes, but also what I refer to as opportunities for improvement, specifically in continuing our hard work in closing achievement gaps within our subgroups. And with that, which will give us much guidance as far as we continue to provide our very best, not only in teachers, but also in resources for the boys and girls of Wilson County. And barring no other questions from the board, that concludes my report, Mr. Chair. Yes, that was not part of the change. What you see listed there are the schools as far as we made the adjustment working with the transportation department. And again, there was a lot of that when you look at not only the bus timing, but the whole focus, Mr. Thompson, was to eliminate that transfer point, which was causing delays and a backup. If there was just even a little bit of an adjustment on that time, that transfer point, it really caused a backup or delay as far as getting buses to the receiving schools.
So Lebanon High School and Southside was still
no changes.
Okay. Any other questions about Dr. Price's report? If not, I entertain a motion to accept her report. So, motion by Mr. Willis, second by Ms. Armstrong. All in further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Let's say recommendations for director of school, Dr. Wright.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, you have copies of recommendations for you in your packet. The first one I want to bring to your attention is asking for your approval as far as voluntary student accident insurance as written. And again, I think it states as far as, again, it needs approval by this body, but it is voluntary student accident insurance.
Trust that everybody's had a chance to look at that. Entertain a motion that we accept the recommendation of the director of school on the voluntary student accident insurance. Here, motion. Motion by Ms. Armstrong, second by Mr. Robinson. Any discussion?
Just a question. I couldn't find it here. I've got to ask them. What is the cost? Is there a cost to the system, or is it the students pay?
Students pay it, and they can buy different layers of coverage. It's up to the parent and how much they can buy. So it starts at a minimum package, then they can buy up.
Okay. That answers my question.
And again, it's a volunteer and it's not something that is mandated or required.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, everybody ready to vote? All in favor of approval recommendation on the student accident insurance, vote aye. Aye. Opposed, they show grace unanimous. Dr. Wright.
Next, I'm asking for your approval on the child nutrition competitive foods policy as written. And if you'll note, as far as the letter that, again, that we have to sign off on, as far as making sure that we not only follow the agreement, when you look at federal food program. And so I want you to be very aware, as I'm asking for the approval that it's accepted as written.
You've heard the recommendation of the record on the child nutrition competitive food policy. I hear a motion. Motion from Ms. Armstead, I hear a second. Second, Mr. Robinson. Any discussion? Being no discussion, I assume we're ready to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
opposed? Let it show that passed unanimously. Dr. Wright?
In addition, as far as child nutrition policy, we also have a civil rights policy that I'm asking for your approval as written. This is something that not many of you, I'm sure, are not familiar with, but give time as far as to read through that. Again, you're talking about a federally subsidized program, and that we also need to abide by what is written in the Civil Rights School Nutrition Program for 2015. So I'm asking for your approval.
Motion by Mr. Robinson, second by Ms. Armstrong. Any discussion? If not, then we're ready to vote. All in favor of the child nutrition civil rights policy, vote aye. Opposed, let it show the pass unanimously. Cafeteria equipment bid 2015. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For you, you have requests for bids that were sent to 3 vendors requesting a response. There were sealed bid responses that were received from 3 vendors. For your review, the results of each response was made evident. You've got mobile fixtures coming in at 165, strategic equipment at 172, and H&R Supply at 178. Seeing as that mobile fixtures submitted the best and lowest bid, meeting the specs that were placed within the RFP, we are recommending that they be awarded this particular bid. There was a request as far as looking at the submitted bids, which if that's something that needs to be reviewed, we do have it. But what I'm asking is as far as to approve the bid, is the lowest and the best bid of Mobile Inc. of the cafeteria equipment.
You've heard the recommendation of the director of schools on the 2015 cafeteria equipment, that we accept the bid of Mobile Fixtures Incorporated. I hear a motion. Motion by Mr. Withers, I hear a second. Second by Mr. McNeese. Any discussion? Sometimes, Dr. Wright, it's unusual that you'll find the lowest and the best bid being the same.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, let it show the pass unanimously.
Next, for your approval, you'll have a request to approve foreign exchange students that will be entering the high schools for next year. You have a request with a notation as far as where these students will be coming from. You have Mount Juliet High School with students coming from Spain and Thailand. You have a request from Watertown High School as far as an Austrian, Germany, 2 from Germany, and 1 from Norway. And then from Wilson Central, we have a request from Sweden and Germany. And these are through approved programs. It's also as far as within the guidelines of the policy for Wilson County Schools. And so I'm asking for your approval that we accept these foreign exchange students into our schools for next school year.
I hear a second. Motion to Ms. Armstrong, second by Mr. Withers. Lost track there. I need no more of these.
See if I remember correctly. That's 8. The only school not Lebanon High School did not have a request this year.
All right. Y'all heard the recommendation of the director on the foreign exchange students. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All that show the pass unanimously. All right.
Okay, next for your consideration is to approve the consolidated application for fiscal year 2016. This again is how we get our dollars as far as for IDEA and federal programs, and so I'm asking for your request, for your approval on this request.
We've heard the recommendation of the director on the IDA consolidated application for 2016. I hear a motion. Motion from Mr. McNeese. I hear a second. Any discussion? And no further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let it show the pass unanimously. TRMT Interlocal Co-op Agreement.
Okay. Before you, and you have a cover letter. This is asking for your approval as far as the Tennessee Risk Management Trust has updated, and that's the word, their intergovernmental cooperation agreement, and this does require board approval. And the recommendation coming from Mr. Hall that the board adopt this agreement, which would be effective July 1st, 2015. Again, if you look at it as far as the assurances as being self-insured and also the risk management component of it. So again, as they're updating, we do need board approval.
For the recommendations of the director on the TRM Tennessee Risk Management Trust as we interlocal co-op agreement. I entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Withers, second by Mr. McNeese. Any discussion at this time?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Dr. Branch could give us general overall financial health regarding what fund balance is, how they're operating. Haven't seen their managers twice in time, so that's a matter whenever it's convenient.
Okay, and that might be a question because I had asked something quite similar to Mr. Hall earlier. I'm just getting some background on this particular thing, and as he was saying,
I'll get a copy of their latest report by the next week.
that's the same thing.
Motion made and second. No further discussion. All in favor of the TRM interlocal co-op agreement, vote aye. Vote ready, show pass unanimous. All right.
Okay, next for your consideration is the school federal projects budget for fiscal year 2016. Again, very detailed. When you look at your letter, as far as that, the budget reflects an $830,000 increase in IDEA allocation, where again, the additional funds have been budgeted for the following positions: 5 teachers, 7 educational assistants, and 1 occupational therapist. In addition, 1 coordinator position will be transferred from the general purpose school fund to school federal projects. Also for you to note, first to the top, which was something that came out of as direct result of our state being one of the race to the top awardees. All 2015 remaining funds were expended to the tune of $8,757. You'll see a carryover money on the school climate grants of $98,000. And then if you go down through there, you'll also see the discretionary dollars for IDEA right at $174. Kenny Bento, which you heard Ms. McMillan refer to as far as the homeless dollars increased in 2015 from $32,000 to $75,000, and will be used for services, programs, and tutoring. Title III received 2 additional grants of immigrant and supplemental, which will be about $15,000 combined. You'll see the breakout on that next page. I don't know that Mr. Hall would want to address this, but I might comment as far as that. One of the things that we've been waiting on to see where we would land on our IDEA allocation, and I think that the final resolution that was probably this morning, as far as making sure that we did indeed receive the dollars, because we had been shortchanged, or what we perceived as being short as far as what we should have been allocated, and that was corrected by the state. So I want to bring that to note. So with that, I'm asking for your approval to move forward with the school federal projects budget.
You've heard the motion or the recommendation of the director on the federal projects budget for 2016. Do I hear a motion? Motion by Mr. Rogers. Do I hear a second? Second by Ms. Armstrong. Any discussion at this time? And no discussion, I assume we're ready to vote. All in favor of the federal project budget for 2016, vote aye. Aye. Opposed, let it show. We pass unanimously. All right. Approve the extended school program budget for 2016.
Yes, sir. And this again is part of a conversation that's began last fall. You'll find before you a budget that reflects the increase in revenue due to new tuition rates of $15 that went into effect March 1st of 2015. Also, as far as to reflect a starting pay of $9.50 an hour with matching benefits for the employees. Again, With this, you're looking at, two new programs putting in place. There will be a new TLC at Lakeview, which again, that was something that had been requested not only by staff, but the principal to, help, teachers there at that school and also at West Wilson Middle School as well, which, the extension there is to give relief at Stoner Creek, bring up one classroom. Mr. Marlowe was, accommodating as far as to accept, that addition there at his school, by, donating a classroom as far as to, have the TLC program there. So with that, asking for your approval, as far as the extended school program for fiscal year 2016.
For the recommendation of the director, I hear a motion. Motion by Mr. Withers, second by Ms. Armstead. Any discussion at this time? If not, I'll send it to ready to vote. All in favor of 2016 extended school program budget, vote aye. Aye. Opposed, same show, that passed unanimously. School nutrition budget for 2016. Right.
I'm for you as far as not only the budget for school nutrition, for 2016, but there's also a request within the budget, of the addition of a bookkeeper position. And this is something that has been left vacant for the last 2 years, and the duties were assumed by others. This is something that, due to auditors' request, that we need to separate those duties. And so the request is to place that bookkeeper back into it. The budget will cover this, and the thing is that, this is something that really should have been addressed earlier, but, Ms. Turner is making that request, along with the approval of her, 2016 budget. You will also see attached lunch prices for the next school year.
Heard the recommendation of the director on the school nutrition budget for 2016. I entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Withers, I hear a second. Second by Ms. Armstead. Any discussion at this time? If no discussion, I assume we're ready to vote. All in favor of the school nutrition budget for 2016, vote aye. Aye. Opposed, let it show that it passed unanimously. Approve permission to enter into phase 2 with Johnson Control.
Yes, sir. With this is a request that's coming from Mr. Hall as far as asking permission to enter into the phase 2 scope of work, to change out all the lights, to LED and perform water and mechanical upgrades, as presented by Johnson Controls, which you have the backup as far as behind this. It's also requesting that we ask the county commission to enter into a leasing agreement with All American Investment Group to fund the project out of savings, and the term and conditions are attached. There was also some conversation that I might ask Mr. Hall to make sure that there is no, misunderstanding as far as where we start with Johnson Control and what we're talking about in potential savings with this phase out. Mr. Hall?
Laying in front of you changes all the lights in the system out to the new LED technology after the 10-year warranty. So we do this, we let all lights up for 10 years because they're under warranty. From the savings of that, it pays for the equipment and the lights, but it also takes care of some lighting on the water measures. Like we got some sinks that just need some springs or there's a filter from the bottom of it to full water. And the big thing in there is to update to school HVAC system. System is very similar to Stone Creek and Watertown Elementary. So those are our main headaches. Our guys really struggle with those schools. When it's hot, you can't do it. It's cold, you can't. So using the savings from this program, we're going to do that there. The lighting program we just completed, the volunteer lighting, which started 12 years ago, just got completed. As far as making the last piece, that just got completed. So that lease expired. This lease will just take its place. We can do that. So it's going to have a very positive impact on their budget because those payments are already there. The savings, when we get demand increases or rate increases going forward, we wouldn't have to ask the county commission for the money, but the savings going forward. City 11, for example, we read in the paper, we're a big user at a lot of our schools. So we're going to get about 25 to 30% for Mr. Springer, what he's told me, for our schools in this, in his jurisdiction. So that's sewer and water. So that's pretty big, hit just in water. And then, of course, affiliate rates are dependent on weather. So this has a very positive impact on our school district. There's 2 schools out there that have a lot of problems with. And again, it's not, you're not asking the county commission for anything other than agreement for the lease agreement. We're not asking for any more money or anything. It's a lease agreement, you're paying from an operating budget, so you don't have to worry about any sharing of ADA proceeds that you've already done that with the budget. So it's a very positive impact on their budget. For Stone Creek, and Water Elementary is even a better situation for them. I'll answer any questions.
Take a question.
Yeah, is there a performance guarantee on this?
Yes.
On the other energy programs?
Yes.
So they don't meet the savings, they cover the difference.
Yes. So, and then this one works a little different. The one currently under will be so much mechanical. This one, because when you take that hot fixture out, you can check through the mains right there. So you know up front, when those fixtures are changed out, you're gonna know right up front. The fixture produces KW and what the other one is. We're gonna know up front, just like the other lighting program with all your lighting.
Okay, but if savings isn't there for any particular security tower, council controls will cover the difference.
Yes, but again, what we're doing is agreeing to save the front, right, to help reduce that documentation as we sign off on everything. I think I told you, Rob, a lighting will be easy, water will be easy, air maybe next summer. We started, so the first year we can have all the savings without a capital outlay of even money employees. So that helps us a little bit on the payments. So, plus, that works is really very work. Take HVAC units out, and they've got to change the outside bin or the air comes in the unit and out of the unit. So that's a little cosmetic stuff on the wall. That part probably will occur each summer with the lighting that people will jump around and do that work.
Now, will those LED fixtures continue to perform after the lease is paid off at the same level, or does the performance degrade over a period of time to the point where we're just basically paying for the fixtures and we don't get savings after?
I think from what I understand, Joe, back here in the hallway, but I think from what I understand is get the full 10-year warranty. We're going to buy a lot of, so we have to do that for the last 5 years. Probably saw that in on the spreadsheet. So the way they're working right now, we did the experiment here in our office. That changed the map. This is what we said, there's no change in actual lumens that come out where you can tell how bright they are. It actually made our office brighter. So we'll see that in school, but I think it's that 10 to 12 year range, probably is what we're looking at for the savings.
So once again, about the water, so how we been charged on our sewer through the city?
Here in the spring, the city of Lebanon, if you watch the other meetings, they really studied their water and sewer rates. What they did instead of putting an increase on all their users, they left the residential rates the same, and charging the big users. And so we're a big user at Lebanon High School, Wilson Central, Southside, Carroll Oakland on that. So those are big facilities about their water. So Jeff Baines called me and had a meeting with me, Robert Springer, and some numbers, and that 25 to 30% range. Probably for a large user.
But we're not being charged the same amount for water as we are for sewer, our sewer for water.
The only difference is in irrigation systems when we have them on separate meters. So the building, water, sewer, the gallon goes in, you get charged for gallons.
So all the irrigation you do on the fields, you lose on that.
Well,
Yeah, now the irrigation there is on separate meter. You get the water rate.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we have both on separate meters.
That's good.
they used to not do that. They used to not charge.
A few years ago, they did not charge us for irrigation.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and one of the things that we did is, and Central, we've got a meter that reduces, because that's a different provider of water, but we use their sewer services, so there's going to be a water meter for like utility district, another meter where we reduce that sewer service, irrigation system, and not charge sewer rates.
Any other questions?
They're big charges.
Anything from Joe, we stand there.
Unless you have questions.
Any other questions, Chris Thomas? Right. Okay. All right. You've heard the recommendation of the director, Mr. Hall here, that we enter into phase 2 with Johnson Controls. Do I hear a motion to that effect? Motion by Ms. Armstrong, second by Mr. Robinson. No further discussion. Assume we're ready to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Let it show that it passed unanimously. All right. Engagement of the design team.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm requesting approval as far as for us to go ahead and engage the design teams to begin with year 1 projects that are listed below on your project sheet. Looking at a new elementary school still to be determined in the Mount Juliet area, additions to Tucker's Crossroad Elementary, renovations to Mount Juliet Middle School theater and restrooms, renovation to the Harding Drive facility, additions to Glenville Elementary, additions and renovations to Southside Elementary, and additions to Watertown Elementary. Now, this isn't to be presumptuous by any means, but we have been given somewhat because that the chairs of the committees that we are working through, that the year 1 projects will possibly go through. If so, we need to go ahead and approve this as far so that we can get the design team to start with the knowledge that funding will not be released until either the end of August, 1st of September, if I remember correctly. But with that, because time is of the essence, and again, not to be presumptuous, but that we do believe that this is the first year work could start. I've asked Mr. Hall to stay there as far as if there's any specific questions that need to be addressed in regards to this.
Y'all have heard the recommendation of the director here on the engagement of the design team. Do I hear a motion? Motion with Mr. Robinson. I hear a second. Second by Ms. Armstead. This time, as for discussion, any discussion?
I just think this is premature, Mr. Chair. I think we still have some more details to work out before we dive into the design phase. I don't want to spend any money on a project that may not get funded for 2 or 3 years right now. I would prefer to spend money on projects we know that are going to get funded. And I think there's work to be done with the county commission before we can get there.
Any other discussion? Once again, Dr. Wright, these are for the Mount Juliet Elementary, Mount Juliet, addition to Tucker's Crossroads, renovations at Mount Juliet Middle School, renovation of the Harding Drive Park, that's the old Lemon High School, addition to Glenville Elementary, addition to renovation of Southside Elementary, and addition to Watertown.
And this is a breakout. This has been presented to this board back as early as January of this year. We continue to have conversations, particularly looking at the breakout of a 5-year building plan. But year 1 being probably the most critical need as far as moving forward. And again, with most of it being renovations for additions, exclusive of looking at new elementary school in the Mount Juliet area, which is also continuing on being able to find property, RFP process that would extend till July the 9th, closes this Thursday.
RFP closes this Thursday. Any other discussion?
The only reservation I had was the additional crossroads concerning the number of students involved in this period of time. Anticipating, you talked about just encouraging people that they move in different directions. But if we have another priority, is there a possibility that we have some priorities along that? Rather than just sticking to this one request.
Again, that's, you know, a discussion of the board as far as to make that determination. This is what was been presented originally. There's been a few adjustments and changes as far as to look specifically, at the Mount Juliet Middle School theater and residence. I mean, that became a high need, just after going through the building itself and was not on the original proposal for that first year. And when we, moved that up, so.
I wasn't favor of the safety of the drive that
The Loop Road,
the loop road.
Tell us once again, Nikki, Dr. Wright, what those improvements in Tucker Crossroads are going to consist of.
Crossroad, is a loop road, around the property. In addition, out the back side of what's currently go down to the right side of the office, out the back on Ridge Springs Road, in addition down through there, which would include new gym, classrooms, new science labs. We take the old gym and turn it into classrooms. And improve the lighting, which they have none right now. So improve the exterior lighting around all that, additional parking along the baseball portion, third baseline. And then the parking that has been gravel along the front, out there, will be paved. And then we went out the back and have to get rid of all the portables at that location.
And what was the total cost of that project?
And then right off the top of my head,
You don't have it here from me.
I mean, portables.
there are 3 out there right now, which is 6 classrooms.
there's so much double, so I just want to how to use my space.
Southside has the same thing, they have 3 classrooms as well. Capacity has 5, which is 2. This particular setup, we can get rid of those portables at those locations, assuming growth. Yeah, you're quicker than that.
That's the capital.
Now, at the new elementary capacity, takes that into account.
Okay, follow up on what Don just said there, was, about the design. Design won't change. Now, the cost might change, but the design should change, should it?
Well, what the design is to do all your studies, all your blueprints drawn, and do all the elevation work and all that kind of stuff, and get that ready to do. And then the county typically approves the bonds, and you issue bonds, and bring them to bid back. But it can't come to bid without the specifications. So that's what we're going to work on. And that just keeps the process moving along.
All right.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Why would we not utilize all the drawings we have either from Rutland or Mount Juliet Elementary or one of the later schools we built?
And new elementary, it's a.
And save all that money. That's a big number.
The other thing that's changed, say, since you go roughly, or you go, since that school's been built, and everything has to be signed, license, and you go to their insurance and everything, so that fees included in the design work for all the services, not only the architects, but the engineers, both civil, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. So we have those guys, like, you have to have that work covered, so that's the 5% fee that's on the document. Do all that, but Rutland League or Mount Juliet Elementary, rough design is what we're talking about, but you have to make that fit the property that you're. And also the road and all that.
But we don't even know what the property is.
Well, I know we're getting on the first place.
Maybe.
Well, asbestos, back to see things like that, that takes time to do all that. So these are several projects going at the same time. It's just the process moving along.
I think it's important to keep the process moving along. Put things off, put things off, and this is just the design phase of it. Other decisions that the next point, we're giving the commissions that understand.
My concern is something that the allocation of those funds. We got a serious problem at the high school now. I still don't know if I want to go spend $8 million on admin office. I can spend $8 million on but see. So that's still my concern with that. I don't want to stop the process either. If this is the way, if these are the 7 or 8 things that we're gonna do, or can it vary from that?
But probably got, as far as using $8 million number you're talking about, middle school, probably for 1,500, probably about your 40 million. And your high school, probably a lot more than that.
And we can add on to that in high school for 8 or 9 million. 5 or 4 kids.
I have not seen that number.
I've seen it here before, somewhere about it. I didn't read that.
I know that the drawing, or rendering,
When I dream, I don't dream about school.
but that's,
Okay.
again, where the middle school was funded out of that service. Grade 8 or under, high school, we have general debt. Just looking at what we've been told from the mayor and the bond people, and why, what they've asked us to look at. The changes, that's just trying to work with them, make all these things happen over the next 4
It's gonna be 3 or 4 more years before we get to build a high school somewhere. Before we even open a high school.
The way the plan you adopted is in the county commission right now shows the high school open in 5 years.
Open in 5 years.
Middle school the year before that.
And we're over credited both of them right now.
Rather than some other schools about that time.
We'll build new elementary out there. I'm just concerned about it. I know y'all want to be nice and cozy and comfortable. And you build it, but I don't want to stop the process here. I feel bad.
Well, it's not all just courtesy and nice. I think it's efficiency too. When we talk about being efficient with what the administration can do to better coordinate their services to all the features of the county. I think that's important as well.
I agree with what Wayne and Don both have said about, I know jump back and see. Very seldom I agree with you, but, I mean, we do, we have got a serious problem with our growth in our high school. And not just, Mount Jude is, that's the bell cow of overcrowding. But the, Lebanon and, Western Central are set right there too. I mean, we're gonna continue to see growth regardless of what we want. What we want to embrace it or not, it's coming. We're gonna have to do our best to get that. But, I'm not so sure that we can wait 5 years for another high school. And I don't know where it really needs to be at this time. That's still to be determined, I would think. But, that's still, it needs to, we're gonna have to face it sooner or later. It's gonna be sooner or later. Any other discussion? If not, I'll say we're ready to vote. All in favor of engaging with the design team, vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Let it show the past 3-2. For Mr. Withers and Mr. McNeese voted no, and Armstead and Thompson, Roberts voted yes. Okay. Next item of business, Dr. Wright, prescription benefit management.
Yes, sir. Again, this is requesting permission to bid out the prescription benefit management. There's an assessment of prescription pricing and potential for cost reduction, which is attached. We need requesting permission to bid this out. And a prescription potential, and I'm using the word potential savings, possibility of this. So, Ms. Wild?
What we did there in the renewal process, you all asked us to get a set of claims and send it to this company, Wells Fargo, to do a study. They come back and say, if we look at an independent PBM or prescription drug benefit contract, we say we work between $350,000 to $400,000 for our employees. That's net of the savings of the fee that Mr. Weathers and I talked about. They're taking their fee out of that. So that's net of that fee. The only difference for the employee is they can carry 2 cards, and one for the doctor, and one for the prescription. A lot of companies do that already. The pharmacies and all that would change. It's just the contract amount would change. Wells Fargo would manage this for us. This is just permission to bid it out. When they come back and they say something totally different in their study. But this is just a question to bid that out and send the information back.
You've heard the recommendation of Mr. Hall and Director Wright about the bid for prescription benefit management to Wells Fargo Company, pharmaceutical consulting. Do I hear a motion? Motion by Mr. McNeese, second by Ms. Armstrong. Any discussion at this time? No cost to the employees.
But the premium still cost us something to cover all the claims.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not gonna, this is what we're doing here tonight, it's not gonna be a benefit of
We're
working
gonna
on
carry a
our
second card.
It is the second part. But no cost to
That
employees.
saves the claims, we're gonna get that expensive premium. What it would do.
We'll make sure.
If there be claim medicines that have, where they have required to use certain brand names, they get those.
That's written in there.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, so we're ready to vote. All in favor of the bid on prescription management, vote aye. Opposed? Let it show that it passed unanimously. Approve the termination of tenured teacher. Oh, did you convert? Where is it? Oh, we voted on that.
Mr. Chairman, we take 2 minutes. Recess.
2 minutes?
2 minutes, that's all.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. Let's make it.
Okay.
All right. We're in recess.
I'm scared to eat this thing again. I don't forget it.
business is about our one-on-one, our business work program that we're looking at developing this year. Dr. Wright?
Mr. Chair, and not to go back, because we had quite a lengthy meeting on 29th. I wasn't aware that it was 2.5 hours. But it was quite an extensive presentation, one of several that not only before this board, but also public, as far as with both the Mount Juliet Chamber, the Lebanon Chamber, different civic groups and organizations. So this has been presented. I want to go back to the board's charge to be in the top 5% in the state within 5 years and in the nation within 10. And if this is a sincere goal of this board, then we need to change direction, provide the necessary tools for teachers and students to move to performance mastery and achievement. If we trust what the research and what we are witnessing with the highest performing districts in the nation, we then need to position our students so that they can compete as well and be successful. I know that some of the conversation has been as far as just at the expense. And we presented that as far as looking at that initial year's implementation and rollout at $4.5 million, the second year, $4.5 million, the third year, $4.5 million, for a total of $13.5 million. And I know that there's been all kinds of different mathematics applied to that, and even compounding $1 million. It becomes part of the operational budget within the district. It was asked if this was just a want, but what I would tell you that it's an urgent need. We continue to talk about advancing our kids and making them competitive. And we've heard now one, and Mr. Smith, Xavier Smith was not expecting this, but he wrote a column the other day as far as talking about when he went to college. And it was well done, Xavier, as far as talking about that transition. And the world that you entered into was much different than the world that you left in high school. And that's much of what we're hearing from our youngsters. And if anything, we're holding our kids back. I'll tell you, they power down when they go to school, so they can power up when they go home. Except it's not equitable. Not all of our kids have those advantages. And in this world, as far as whether you stand on, assessments are part of the world. And it's moving next year to all online. Mr. Brown, sitting back there at the largest high school right now, I think you're going to be right at 2,100. He has the computer labs, but again, as far as when you look at just the logistics of getting everyone through, as far as whether it's in-course exams, whatever it might be, it's something that becomes very complicated. What you're doing is taking away very valuable instructional time. Mr. Bell commented last week as far as what he's having to do, and he is sitting in one of the largest middle schools in the state of Tennessee. And when you're looking at trying to rotate 1,500 kids through what should take less than a week, it's taking him nearly 4 weeks. That's loss of instructional time. It's a disruption. It's a distraction to the school. And so we've got to work collaboratively, collectively, as far as we've got to make this happen, make this work. Mr. Brown did not even anticipate this, but I would like, as far as what would be the difference, Mr. Brown, as far as looking at having a digital device in the hand of each of your students at Mount Juliet High School? What would you see?
You'd see engaged students. You would see excitement. You would see future. These youngsters look at this, whatever reason, we're still there. We've got 2 young ones right back here. They probably can do more than 80% of us by now. Well, when you go into a classroom, you come into a building, you start moving out, class out, you go into a lab, you take these stages to the state required assessments. What you miss out on is, I'm sure we're really looking at the now instead of the future. Every youngster that has graduated in the last 3 years come back and say we weren't ready technology-wise for what we were facing, because we're now it's totally paperless. So we're no longer into a textbook, go to the library, textbook, or that, all our papers are online, everything we do now. What does that do? The way the brain sends to grasp at technology. ride around with your family in the car, with your grandchildren, children backseat, and they'll be talking to each other on telephone or an iPad, whatever they have. You get them a new iPad, they're gonna have a textbook on it, they're gonna read it. But we're gonna be testing that way. So if we wait until everybody's ready, it's kind of like wait till you have your heart attack, till you have everybody around you to save you. I know we run into these issues where, the schools, education, are doing that for me, spend that money and doing that for me. We run into that issue because they haven't been to school in a long time. But if they have children, they have grandchildren involved in this, you're not making a decision even for students now, yes. But it's going to be, we're talking about the future and where we're going with this. We had 4 students show up today that they didn't wait till July 20th. Parents want to be sure we just moved in. We want to see the school. That's in addition to this 2,100 we've been talking about. Now, give them that. We can go out and spend on textbooks. We all heard all of this. But when you see how youngsters respond, we're talking about youngsters who may struggle. We're talking about youngsters who are going to take your AP courses. We've got youngsters, every level of ability. It's like in this room right here tonight. All of us learn a different way. This is a new tool. They'll come with something else. You younger parents, get ready. You'll hear something. Your children will hear something else. Okay, here. But we're in a changed world, and education makes changes. So if we count our pennies now, we're going to lose our millions out here. That's just the way it works. When you look at the industry and it's coming into Wilson County, what kind of product do they want? We can't train for everything coming. However, we can have our youngsters ready to be trained in their specifics. If they do not have more than social ability, being able to take it out, research, read information, create, design. If they can't do that with confidence, they're not going to get the top job. There's not a parent in here or grandparent in here who does not want their child to have their best shot, whatever that's going to be. We want them to have the best teacher. We want them to have the best everything we've got. So when we look at it from a vision of in the distance, will there be immediate results? Sure. I mean, they're excited to even smell that it might happen. Teachers are worse than kids. Teachers we're hiring are fired up because they're right out of school and they've never heard of it. They ain't fool with it. It's just beyond their training. So they don't have any issue with that at all. So when we get to a point of making a decision now, what it's going to mean for the future, as you're in a position where you're there to make the decision. I mean, good or bad, you got to make it. That's the way it goes. But that's the adult side of how do we help our young people get to where they want to get to. They may never want to leave Wilson County. Not a problem. We got to have something on it. And pay the taxes, do all this other stuff, pay water bills, sewer bills, all this kind of stuff. That comes in where your county's developed. So it can be done. I don't know exactly, but as far as immediately done right, they're fired up. If they get them, won't know. They come in, won't know. We've heard that. You got your band kids show up today, your athletes show up today. Nice things. Oh, don't get Mr. Brown. We don't get what you're talking about. That's what I'm talking about. All when it gets right down to it, what they can do at home. Days we missed on snow days. We'll go out this fall in October. We'll go out and we'll come back in first of December, November. We have the first half of the Tennessee Ready testing assessment. Then we get excited, go out to Thanksgiving, come back the first of December, we can do the same thing. We know we're going to be moving 700 or 800 to 900 students every time we test. That's not included who's being tested. We're expecting over 600 ninth graders this year. We got to give something to work with, but we've also got to give our teachers something. And that would do that. So when we start those kind of numbers working through, it's all over county. Somebody's coming. Bro, try to get up here at night. Well, we can't get here. So
And Mr. Brown, how many computer labs do you have right now at Mount Hood High School?
we have a total of 9.
And the possibility as far as what happens to, as far as, this goes back to as far as looking at the lots of students, you would retire the computer labs because there's no need for the lab because of the device in every student's hands, but you would reclaim 9 classrooms.
Correct. And that would help us immediately with a long range install 3
a lot of unintended consequences, but you can't really see. Get in there a little bit. You see that, that's the part, they bring it with, there's no excuse in for work at home. We have a hard time with accountability and responsibility because young people have no reason to be. But if they did their academic part, they would have a reason to be, since we don't all build people or holidays, get back and all that kind of stuff. We don't do that anymore in our society. So this would give them something, this is ownership. If they misuse it, we handle it. We do it now. That's not the way. Swings are different. They don't do it right. Okay, we got it. And we will have to wean them off of it being a social piece of technology. But our whole country's been found on technology. We've moved on forever. It's just a matter of we're ready now.
You just said you get the schools ready for it.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Bell, as far as, I guess you're the one as far as when to look at the situation, as far as in your continuing to grow as well. How many computer labs do you have under your building right now?
We have 3 computer labs in 1 classroom that we use. So you're talking about 130 desktops.
And just this last year alone, as far as how many days did it take you as far as to be able to meet your students or assessments?
It takes us 2 weeks to do the start WCS assessments. And that was only for math and language.
And those aren't even long assessments, those are just really snapshots.
We talked about that. We did 19,000 individual assessments, and now that's when all we do on the computer. And honestly, I said this last time, this board, I know they're on our side, they're working with us to do this, but I really don't know what that's going to look like in our building. It's going to take some major planning if we do not get extra technology in our classrooms.
Mr. Marley, you have not quite the same amount of number of students, but you still have a large middle school, but you have, access to technology. So what was the time relative to what Mr. Bell shared?
What takes about your middle 2 weeks to do, takes you 2 days. And we only have devices in our English classes, but we share with math teachers when we do assessment.
The other thing that was noted too, as far as the special school districts, some of the schools, their students have access, everyone has their own device, which they'll be rolling down into the lower grades this next school year. 80% of the kids coming out of the middle schools at Lebanon Special School District become students at Lebanon High School. And Lebanon High School does not have the devices that these students had access to as middle school students. So again, when you look, when we're talking about the inequities, we're also talking about that even though right now the conversation is talking about the time that's devoted to assessments, we're also talking about changing how we provide instruction. It becomes an instructional tool. It doesn't replace a teacher. It enhances the instruction of the classroom. But it also, when you look at the adaptive learning side of it, as far as for students, whether it's a struggling student that for whatever reason it's not been about ability, but they've had a lack of opportunity to learn something, that teacher can go in and address that without humiliating and embarrassing that student because they do not have that content. But it also will bring challenge to those students that are, again, need that extra enrichment. Thing is, we're limited right now. And again, I'm not, and as I've already shared this before, it's not about being cavalier as far as not being recognizing the cost, that initial move into the digital world. But I will say that if, again, the board's challenge being what it is, and it's not just, we are a good district, but we could be so much better when you look at what we can provide for our students, as well as resources and tools for our teachers. And this is the time, this is the moment. Again, it's not for this board to determine, and I say this most respectfully as far as the cost. That is for us to present to county commission. They are a funding body to determine whether this is what they want to move forward with. And so with that, I respectfully request that you would approve this digital conversion plan.
First recommendation, director, discussion?
I just wanna make sure, because I misunderstood the last meeting. After 3 years, it's gonna cost roughly 13.5, not 27.
No, sir, it's $13.5 million.
No further discussion, all in favor of submitting this business conversion plan, vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let it show that it passes unanimously. All right, Dr. Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before you, and I do believe you have copies, I'm prepared to present charges for dismissal against Matthew Mock, sixth grade teacher at Tucker's Crossroads Elementary School. This is to inform you that I must recommend the dismissal of Matthew Mock, a tenured teacher with the Wilson County School System. Grounds for seeking his dismissal are conduct unbecoming a member of the teaching profession, neglect of duty, and insubordination as defined in Tennessee Code annotated 49-5-501. Specifics underlining these charges are set forth below. As a teacher, Mr. Mock engaged in conduct unbecoming a member of the teaching profession, as well as neglectful and insubordinate conduct which has seriously impeded the ability of Wilson County Schools to perform its mission. This conduct includes, but is not limited to, targeting specific teachers for illegal harassment, creating a hostile work environment, inappropriate and malicious activity, taking property that did not belong to him for malicious purposes, disregard of work duties while pursuing said activities within the school day, disregard of board policy, and disregard of directions from the principal. In an attempt to more fully advise you regarding the specifics of the conduct with which he is charged, said conduct includes, but is not limited to, the following. On Thursday, May 28th, 2015, at approximately 12:40 p.m., Mr. Mock and two other school employees, while engaging in school-wide pranks on paid school time, smeared a teacher's door handle with some type of greasy product, later identified as lotion. This was the second time she had encountered the lotion because she'd been the first to put her hand on the teacher's lounge door, which also was covered in lotion. The second time she looked for the lotion and avoided it by using her key to open her door. These three employees had smeared the lotion on other doorknobs as well, but when this teacher got back to her room, she heard one of the three say, "I thought she went in there." The three stood outside of her room and began targeting this African-American teacher. One of the three employees came into her room pretending to ask her questions, but at the same time smearing the inside of her door handle as well. That employee gave the teacher a fake story trying to get her to leave the classroom, thus touching the doorknob again, which was now covered on the inside of the handle. When the teacher said she knew what they were trying to do, the employee said something that caused laughter from Mr. Mock, who was standing right outside the door. The teacher stayed in her classroom and texted another teacher regarding the lotion. She ended up calling the teacher as well to tell about the continued pranks on her as she was upset. At 12:44, she texted that they had called Mrs. Breedwell down to open her door while she was locked inside with the lights out. At this time, she became nervous. The video from this day shows Mr. Mock and the two other school employees in the hallway outside of this teacher's room for a large majority of the time between 12:40 and 3 o'clock. The teacher was nervous as to why she was getting the negative attention, so she locked her room, closed her blinds, and worked on a computer in the dark. She was completing a lesson in the required technology course as this all occurred during working hours. The teacher heard commotion caused by Mr. Mock and the other two employees rapping on her window outside, laughing loudly and talking loudly outside of her room. When she left her room to go to work with another teacher, she was nervous, so she locked her room when she left. When she entered the hallway, Mr. Mock told her she had made it out pretty good today. He then proceeded to question her about her car. He asked which car was hers. He asked, "Is that a Mercedes or a BMW?" He asked where her car was. The teacher responded that it was outside. Mr. Mock then asked her if she was sure. She was taunted as she walked down the hallway. "Look, she's running," said one of the three, at which Mr. Mock laughed. When she got to the other classroom, she looked out the window to make sure her car was still there, being concerned about Mr. Mock's earlier statements. Mr. Mock, after examining the hallway to make sure no one was looking, unlocked her room with a master key while she was out and moved student desk over to block the inside of her doorway. Additionally, a student desk was placed on top of her teacher desk. The teacher called another teacher to come to her room to see what they had done to her room. She was anxious about what the three were planning on doing. She felt threatened. At some point during this time, the principal came on over the speaker and made an announcement that the people who were putting lotion on the doors, moving cars, and taking things needed to stop and needed to put things back the way they were. Mr. Mock took keys off one teacher's desk and refused to return them to her when she asked. She stated that she followed him down the hall repeatedly, asking that he return the keys. He used the keys to move her car. Mr. Mock was initially thought to have taken keys from a teacher's pocketbook. When given the opportunity for due process, Mr. Mock denied going into anyone's pocketbook. However, since that time, we were told that students who were in the building that day have told us that Mr. Mock told them to take keys from the teacher's pocketbook. The teacher's car was moved to the middle school side of the building. Mr. Mock used a master key multiple times to open doors which had been locked by the teachers to which the rooms were assigned. Teachers were trying to work as this was the last day to finish their end of the year checklist. The actions described above are a clear violation of Board Policy 5.500, illegal discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. Any act of discrimination, harassment based on race or color is contrary to the basic standards of conduct between individuals and is prohibited. Mr. Mock's actions created an intimidating, hostile, and offensive place of employment. The actions described above are also a clear violation of Board Policy 5.600, including conduct unbecoming a member of the teaching profession, neglect of duty, and insubordination. Mr. Mock failed to follow the teacher code of ethics, which states that an educator recognizes the magnitude of the responsibility inherent in the teaching process. The desire for the respect and confidence of one's colleagues, of students, of parents, and of members of the community provides an incentive to attain and maintain the highest possible degree of ethical conduct. All this took place on a workday during work hours. This is a gross failure on Mr. Mock's part to perform duties and responsibilities that are expected of the teacher during a workday and constitutes neglect of duty. When these charges were originally read to Mr. Mock, he was clearly warned that contacting the teachers who were victimized would be viewed as retaliation should not happen. However, the minority teacher has been contacted twice, asking her if she was really scared, and then she wrote a statement about the incident. This is freedom. Mr. Mock's violations violated not only Knox County Schools Board policy, but also violate Title VII. The Wilson County school system cannot and will not condone discrimination in any form or fashion. Mr. Mock has refused to comply with the policies of Wilson County schools and with school system administrators. In light of his conduct unbecoming a member of the teaching profession, neglect of duty, and insubordination, I am left with no choice but to recommend his termination. Mr. Chair, if I might also add, there were comments that have been circulating, comment like that at Tucker's Crossroad, it's been a long-standing practice and one that, again, as far as harmless pranks that were never meant as harm, that it was not received by the majority of the staff. There were members of the staff that were appalled by how they've been portrayed. They work hard and take what they do very seriously, as most on that day were finishing up an end-of-year checklist. It's also been presented that end-of-year pranks take place at all of our schools, and again, I will tell you that this is not true. Is that to say that they don't have fun and maybe cut up? No, but what they don't do is vandalize, steal, harass, and torment, bully others. They're professionals that would never place themselves in that position. I've heard from others that they are insulted that it is insinuated that that behavior exhibited at Tucker's Crossroads exists elsewhere. But I will also tell you there were teachers at Tucker's Crossroads that were embarrassed that they were being portrayed as such. Again, there were comments made tonight as far as taking exception with the principal of the school. She was not the principal at the school, and nor did she file the police report that was filed by Mr. Steve Spencer, who is the safety and security supervisor for the district. Again, comments were made as far as that even though there was direction given that nothing would be said personally and derogatory, it was said anyway in this open meeting. It was also suggested that there was retaliation. I will also comment as far as that I've even been vilified that I've been accused of taking bribes, accepting money. Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you right now, that's a criminal accusation. And I don't take it lightly. I will also suggest here that, again, with any change of administration all you're asked to do is to do your job. There was never any retaliation. These people were not sought out. They brought this conduct on themselves, the attention on themselves. And so for that to say that there was retaliation, as was suggested tonight, because that there was support for another administrator, that is patently wrong and untrue. And so with that, Mr. Chair, I ask that you certify the charges as true as presented and vote to uphold the dismissal charges against Mr. Long. And you also have an orange file as far as for your review as well, as far as looking at cheat scores. Again, this is something that is confidential information, but you can review it as far as determination, as far as teaching.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, you've heard the recommendation of the director in regard of a tenured teacher. I hear a motion to accept the director's recommendation. Motion by Mr. Robinson, do I hear a second? Second. Second by Mr. Withers. Any discussion at this time? Being no discussion, I assume you're ready to vote. All to approve the termination of a tenured teacher, vote aye. Aye. Those opposed, vote no. Let it show that pass unanimously. Okay, next item of business. All right. That's it for you.
Chair, that concludes as far as
Any old business come before the board this time? Any new business come before the board this time? Communication from the board members. Right? Ms. Armstrong? Wood. All right, upcoming meeting, July the 11th, we got a work session at 1 o'clock. That's correct. July 13th, we'll have a board meeting. That'll be next Monday night. That's correct. And the next meeting will be on August the 7th at 6 o'clock. Being no further business coming forward, Wilson County Board of Education this time, meeting adjourned.